The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse. Very simple. Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients.
Yeah.
In this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, and we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parent's consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today. It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago. Under my leadership, this madness will end. Thank you very much.
I'm going to tell you something right now. There are certain issues that swing voters. This issue is one of the sole reasons that so many people voted for Trump. As I'm going through the comment section, listening to what people saying on different content creators' videos, overwhelmingly, this was the one issue which, as Trump is breaking it down, we can see that there's so many other things wrapped up inside of it. But this is the one issue that absolutely swung the votes towards Trump. People in the comment section are literally saying the only reason I voted for Trump is because of this. This is how tired Americans are of this ideological subversion, of this propaganda. Like, people have had it up to here, okay? And I want to say this. I'm in the streets talking to people. I called my friend yesterday. I'm like, yo, how you feel about the election? He was like, I ain't even gonna hold you. A lot of these young boys, a lot of these people in the neighborhood, they not with that LGBTQ transhumanism. They not with that, bro. We are not with that. And, you know, seeing this whole outcry, this backlash, it makes me feel good because it means that there are more Americans that are moral than immoral. Obviously, nobody's perfect, but Americans are fighting back and saying, hey, we absolutely don't want to deal with this nonsense. Okay. Now, for me, I'm going to tell you right now, I have 4 daughters and I homeschool my children. And one of the biggest reasons I homeschool my children is because I don't want them to be indoctrinated with this nonsense. So I'm glad that Trump covered a large ground in terms of not just talking about the consequences of the action itself, but also the consequences of spreading this propaganda. Now you can see why these people was trying to get rid of Trump before election day even happened. They did it with a bunch of trumped up charges, no pun intended. They did it by literally trying to assassinate this man. And the reason why is because they wanted to continue to move forward with this demonic agenda. About a year ago, I did a video with Joy Reid, and she was talking to a lady. I can't remember her name, but it was about, you know, these books that they have in these schools where they're promoting this subversive behavior to our children about transhumanism, right? And Joy Reid was arguing for transgender. She was arguing with the lady saying, don't these stories need to be heard? Don't these people need to have a voice? Don't they need to feel seen and heard? No, they don't. I'm sorry. My kids don't need to read one transgender book. My kids don't even need to read. I mean, they don't even need to read books that's sexually subversive anyways. Period. Okay? That's something that happens between a husband and a wife. Okay? If you're not married, then you don't even need to be thinking about these type of things. And it used to be a time where I thought I was delusional, right? But then I was listening to Thomas Sowell, and he talked about the Department of Education and how ever since they introduced sex education, the out of wedlock births, young STDs, ever since they introduced the topic of sex into our school system, the impacts have been adverse. And so that's what's so crazy about all of this is that when you get so far away, people start telling you that the morals and values that you have are delusional. And you sitting back thinking like, is that really unreasonable to ask? And it's not. But see, if you don't do your history, if you don't listen to other intelligent people like Thomas Sowell and people of that ilk, then you will think that being a good person, being righteous, being moral, being upstanding, you will think that is delusional. At the end of the day, man, Trump said a mouthful. I agree 1000% with what he said. And it's good that we have strong leadership in our country. Anywho's, if you enjoyed this video, click the link below. I have more videos similar to this one. Click the link below and I'll see y'all over there. Peace.